70 kilometres north of Sydney on New South Wales Central Coast, you'll find Tuggerah Lakes, made up of 3 interconnecting coastal lakes. The lakes form the 5th largest commercial estuarine fishery in the state, despite having restricted tidal movement with the sea through a very narrow channel situated at the entrance. The Tuggerah catchment itself spans 700 square kilometres, or 90% of the Wyong local government area. Whilst sediments and nutrients have been finding their way into the lakes for millions of years, this process has recently accelerated as developments grow within the catchment area. Arimba Creek, Wyong River and Jillaby Creek all directly feed into the lakes. In 2007, thanks to the Australian government's Caring for Our Country, some $20 million of funding over 5 years was granted to Wyong Shire Council to deliver the improved water quality through the restoration of Tuggerah Lakes project. The Hunter Central Rivers Catchment Management Authority, or CMA as they're known, partnered with Council in December of 2011 to provide an education and grant funding program targeting rural land managers and community groups looking to positively impact the catchment area. Celebrating some 47 important groundworks projects ranging from livestock control to weed eradication, this story is a unique insight into a community focused on preserving its life-giving waterways.
It's important that we as property holders, we recognise that we are part of the chain and the water for this local area.
We're really involved in this bush and on every level. So we get great joy out of it, and out of the birds in particular. We've actually got nearly 200 species of bird here listed. We've got echidnas, we have snakes, lizards, lots of possums of course. We have a pair of grey goshawks that nest every year, and we get to enjoy the magic of watching the little fluffy babies grow up and be successfully raised just here. It's wonderful.
This region is very, very significant to us. It has firstly the quinquenervia, or the Melaleuca quinquenervia forest, which is the broadleaf paperbark forest, and we've been able to over the years achieve trees of cultural significance for this particular forest, and this is one of those freestanding forests that hasn't been mined or impacted over time, and it's a very, very precious remnant and becoming rarer as time goes on. So it's incredibly significant that we have the opportunity to be able to restore this in the way we have.
I was starting to look into fencing off the creek from the cattle so that they don't destroy the bank any more than they already have, because we're getting water problems in the paddocks. And I saw in the local community news an article from the CMA, and I rang up about registering for a course. And from there, the CMA representative got in contact with me and explained the process of a grant, and we went through that process.
I actually came across the CMA grant by doing a course through Tokal College, which was a land management and conservation diploma.
We first heard about the CMA grant through our local paper, and we contacted them. Mainly we were thinking that about the river, and knowing that our cattle like to get into parts of the river, and then we're trying to get them back over. We just needed to be able to keep them on our property and not to have them down near the river. The CMA project entailed fencing in the areas that weren't fenced close to the river, to try and promote regrowth and to bring the vegetation on a lot better than what it was with the cattle being close to the river.
The focal point of our project is 0.7 hectares, which is both a hanging swamp which is an endangered ecological community, as well as a riparian zone of the Somersby Plateau forest along Bumbles Creek. That area was really heavily infested with lantana in particular, and also coral trees. This was a patch of lantana, and as you can see, we've taken the lantana out. We've planted some plants that are local plants. So there's a calicoma. This is, I think, a little tea tree of some sort. But we've also got some roburs that are coming up, so some swamp banksias that are coming up by themselves. There's been no return of the lantana at all, so that once we've targeted it, it just has not come back. And we've got the pouch coral fern coming back all by itself. That actually wasn't here when the lantana was here.
We needed help through funding, which gladly we got through the CMA. Even though it looked daunting, it can be successful. There was banks of lantana that you think that you couldn't get through with a bulldozer, but with the ingenuity and the dedication of the staff, they got through it.
What I'd like to see happen here is that we continue up the catchment. We've sort of undertaken the bush regeneration at the very bottom of the catchment, and I'd like to move up to the very top of the catchment and the bushland all around it to control the weeds, to get on top of the woody weeds and the herbaceous weeds that infest that bushland, and to make it a self-sustaining bushland that is healthy, that is functioning and free of weeds.
I think the benefits of this program, they go far beyond just our property, far beyond what we're doing here. Again, for this particular property, it being a watercourse through that ends up in the catchment for the people of the Central Coast, it's important that while we have charge over our section of that catchment, that we do everything that we can to make sure that the water's clean, to make sure that water's protected, and to make sure that everything's healthy in the system that we've been in charge to take care of.
CMA staff were absolutely brilliant. They were really supportive, so that support was fundamental in us having the courage to go ahead. Our project entailed the removal of lantana and blackberry. That's what the project was all about. This project has been great in that it's refocused us back on the property and improving our management of the property, the maintenance of the property, and it's re-inspired us, which it's been exciting.
It's hard to describe why I'm passionate about the local environment here. It's just an emotional thing, which I just love the look of native plant communities, and I love getting in amongst them. And I think it's a real missed opportunity for most of our population who grow exotics in their garden. They're just missing out on this ancient, beautiful work of evolution, and it's all around us.
CMA, I have to say, are fantastic. I don't think ever had such a positive human experience. I see the work we've done here as being very important. I feel really privileged to have a little piece of vegetation that we're able to make a really positive influence on, and to really take that forward into the future, I feel is just wonderful.
I think if we all care for the land, then we're going to leave a legacy for our next generation. And for me, it's seeing the beautiful bird life, love seeing all the wildlife around us, and the more that we can encourage that with what we do with our land, I think that's so important for the future.
We're not giving it up, we're giving it to our kids. We're giving it to the future. So it's been a privilege to be involved in that.
And I'm hoping that our management will reflect that in the future.